Hey traders, this is Christian from Tribeca Trade Group with your end of day recap for Tuesday. A real nice bounce back in the indices. S&P finished up 1%. Qs were the outperformer of the major indices. They finished up 1.5%. And IWM, which has been a dog recently, up 1.1%. So really nice price action for the day. And, we definitely got some signals this morning that we were due. We were due for this type of bounce. But if you look at what happened pre-market, which is what we go over every morning, it was basically all those things that have been getting a bid lately. The yen, which is really moves up pretty nicely when there's some fear in the market. That was down about 0.5% this morning. Gold, as much as people have been jumping up and down on Twitter about how great gold looks, I've been saying for a while, wait until this thing takes out 1300. So it hasn't been able to do it yet and failed. So it's not that far from there, but when you come in the morning and you see gold down, the yen down, the VIX down by almost 5% as we walked in this morning. You look at the overnight markets, where China continues to move up. The Hang Seng was up another percent last night, and then also before our market opened, when we look at the DAX, which you could look at this HEWG, which is basically German stocks without the FX. So just like EWG, but without the euro. So looking at it in local terms. So this was also up over 1%. So some of those problem areas, there's been very little problem areas in international markets. They've been the strong ones. But the one that was kind of weak and kind of resting on support rallied this morning. So I feel like I'm forgetting one as well. I talked about gold, the yen, the VIX. I feel like there was one more as well that was risk off that sold off this morning, but that really gave us a good indication. And I said this morning, and I put it on Twitter. I said it's not common where you see all of the risk off type securities where people flock to. When you see all them down in the morning, I thought that we were in store for a nice bounce today. Same thing with yesterday, kind of gave us a little bit of a signal. It wasn't great because, things are not always going to be perfect, but we started the day lower. The Qs were down about 80 basis points and they came back to flat. So they didn't come back to the green and have a major reversal day, but you kind of figured, hey, a day where we start low and come back, we have a chance, So that's basically what we got today, and the call buyers returned. So that's another one of my indicators, along with the ones that I've already mentioned, the yen, the VIX, the gold. But when we start to see the call buyers really step up a lot, which we did today, that some of that volatility is behind us for the time being, and we held today very nicely. So here's the Qs chart. We still have some overhead, resistance. So this is not completely done. We still have to power through here. You can see I've got a trend line here of where we've been making the lower lows, but you start to look at certain things around the market. Again, you look at things like FXI. These things, there's basically not a lot of weakness, or EEM. EM's back to 52-week high, almost back to a 52-week high, very close to it. What I was looking at today is IGV, which is an ETF that a lot of people don't know about. It's tech and software. So it's a lot of names like the one that just reported after the close, like Salesforce, Oracle, Adobe, Microsoft. So and a lot of the gaming stocks, which were really strong today, ATVI, which I added to along yesterday, which worked out pretty well. But you could see here a couple of things. We've been far away from, for a lot of the major indices, far away from a MACD crossover, but some areas are actually showing one today. So you've got a MACD crossover in this ETF. So I really like this basket of stocks. And the other thing that noticed is that today's high is above last week's high. So that's good. That's a good thing. Salesforce, I don't know if it's going to add too much. Salesforce made a 52-week high. Adobe made a 52-week high today. So there's some positives. You just have to kind of look for them a little bit. Salesforce, I think, was down to, let's see, right around 90 bucks. If you go to the 1 hour bar, you can see there's some support right at $90. So we'll see if that holds. $90 is basically back to where it started for the day. And I believe Benioff, the CEO of Salesforce, is on Kramer tonight, and he usually pumps the stock up pretty nicely. So, you know, would look for it to get a bounce. U.S. Steel. So I could start to go over some of the option activity. Man, there was a lot of signals today, and a lot the risk takers were back today. So right from the start, what did we see? We saw some BAC, we saw some FireEye calls, we saw some HPE calls. A little bit of AMD. Apple was hit repetitively. I was looking at pre-market. I was looking at Facebook. I did not pull the trigger on Facebook today, but right around here, I started to mention it to the room, and I said, "Listen, I just can't add another long today." But Facebook did a real nice job, and a lot of call buying in Facebook. So something that we haven't seen too much of, maybe a little bit about a week ago, but some nice transactions that were swept going to September, November. I mean, look at the nice November trade. A couple times that they came into. This one was at 11:38. Yeah, so I mean, you could see what's really nice about this is you could see at 11:30 they came in and bought 2,000 contracts. I mean, this is a big trade. This is $1.5 million in premium. Then they came in 8 minutes later and they paid more for it. So that's what you want to see for confirmation that somebody's buying. So Facebook, I think the chart looks pretty good. I like that setup a lot. I like the fact that it never really broke down into the value area. So nice support there if you want to try to go long Facebook. So that's just one of the one of the many trades today. Yandex, where's my Yandex trade? Should be in here as well. Yandex really didn't participate until the end of the day. That's if you look at the daily chart, it's been trying to get into the value area, but nice move there right at the end of the day. There was AA calls, big block, some nice big blocks of things, which again we have not seen for like they've been absent the last week and a half. But AA, there was a block of 10,000 calls, which I got involved in. Total of 13,000 traded today. Newell, which this is a tougher one. It's in a downtrend, but a lot of Newell calls traded today. JCI, look at this thing today. So I normally don't take trades in downtrends. When I do, it's small. So I added a small trade today in JCI. Chart is this would be considered a dip buy, but 18,000 January contracts traded in bunches today. So it was that kind of thing. China Unicom, some calls traded. There was a little bit of news on that name. There was a nice 1x2 call spread in Broadcom. U.S. Steel, which, geez, I'm leaving a lot out on my list. Like I said, today was a pretty active day. But U.S. Steel, January 22 calls. So if you're looking for something, and these are the trades that I really like, by the way. Not the weekly crap where people are trying to the pump and the dump, where they're like, yeah, let's go in crazy. There's a weekly call buyer, and then let's get out when everybody goes in. No, I mean these are more trades that I like going out to January. People that are looking for a bigger move than 1 or 2% for the day. They're looking to kind of build. They're looking for the stock to really move. Now, U.S. Steel is another name below the 200-day moving average, but again, someone's putting down a pretty decent chip. This size trade was another $1 million trade. So. Again, this is the stuff that I like to see. Somebody putting conviction into a trade, not some stupid 10-cent trade that's going to expire in 2 days. That they're just trying to pump the stock up. So sorry to reiterate that, but we see it over and over. Guys talking on Twitter about a weekly call buyer. It's crazy. Who cares? Sorry. What else? More BABA calls. There was a little bit of BABA puts at the end of the day. So, this BABA has just been in a major tear. So maybe, somebody thinking, hey, this is due for a little reversion back. But there's been nothing but call buying. It's just been continuous in that name. What else did we see? Some more Netflix call buying, a little bit of October. So we'll leave it there. There was again, a definite change in the tape and the risk taking that was there today. So real and again, really nice to see the indices finish on the highs and not do one of these, which we've seen now a couple times. I think a few people were kind of very wary of that, including myself. Of hey, when we started to go higher a couple times, we failed. So the best I could do to kind of be aware of that is set some alerts, and I did that, and I kept on bringing them up a little bit. Right around here, I said, okay, let me put an alert 20 cents down in the major indices to see if we start to fade. But we really didn't get that today. It got a little bit. You see the moving averages crunch right around 2 o'clock, but they continue to go higher. So, and I think that's the strategy going forward, considering that we've had a couple days like that where we haven't been able to really hold the gains, and we've seen reversals a few times. I think you still have to be cognizant of that. But and the best way to kind of do that is to set some alerts. Maybe if we get a little bit more of a rally tomorrow, maybe sell some out of the money call spreads in the indices to kind of to protect against some of your longs. So that could be a strategy for tomorrow. But we'll see. Again, we'll leave it here. I think we got everything that you could possibly ask for today in today's price action. The VIX, just leave it. The VIX got absolutely pummeled today, down 13%. We're also back, if you want to, I guess, try to analyze the technicals in the VIX. We're basically back to where we were midweek last week before we got this big shoot up on Thursday. So, I think the VIX remains a must watch for now. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning into the video. Have a great night and see you back in the trading room bright and early tomorrow morning. Thanks.